Welcome to Egg Foo. What?
The world's one and
The
only
first and
podcast
only
about food.
podcast about people eating stuff. No, I'm working on my pregnant pause.
All right.
I
Well, that
mean,
was very pregnant.
Mike Francesa is the king of the pregnant pause.
Don't. Let me
So,
tell you now. Don't even try.
so
It'll
I'm
only
gonna
lead to frustration for
I'm
you.
gonna try some pregnant pauses in
All
this
right.
episode.
You want to try it again, or
No, that was
all right?
fine. You
All right.
interrupted, but I think I
Well,
got my point across.
I mean, that was a hell of a. It seemed like less of a pregnant pause and like, oh my god, I hope Mike's okay. So, I guess in that case, it means it worked. So I'm looking forward to these pregnant pauses throughout the show.
I pulled a Mitch McConnell.
Oh.
Anyway, yeah.
Have you heard, before we get started? I mean, I haven't watched it, but this Jada Pinkett Smith stuff.
Yeah, I do not. I keep seeing it popping up, and it's like, really? Is this the time? This stuff,
Well, plus it's like we used to love sinking our teeth into a nice juicy sex scandal, like celebs banging each other and scandal, and now we're all apparently sitting around talking about her marriage, like, are they friendly to each other?
And apparently, yeah, she contradicts herself on a daily basis. I guess that's the general.
We're all like, are they filing their taxes separately? Who's feeding the fish?
Yeah.
What the hell? Who cares?
Something's being promoted, isn't there? Does she have a book or something?
It's probably a book about whatever the hell she's talking about. Yeah, her marriage that she can't seem to decide whether or not she's in.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, how boring have we begotten with our celebrity scandals? This is it?
Yeah.
Are they living together?
Yeah. No, that's definitely up there with who cares?
Who cares? Who gives a shit? Yeah.
But there it is every day.
Yeah, great.
Right next to the Taylor Swift updates.
Two insanely rich people who could just swing a dead rat and hit 10 people that would be happy to be with them. I got to sweat their marriage.
It's a lot, right? With everything going on, all hell breaking loose.
Yeah.
And we're supposed to be invested in the Jada Pinkett Smith, Will Smith marriage. Yeah.
But it's not even a tawdry thing. Even with that whole thing where she maybe possibly had a affair with some young guy, but like nobody knows, but they keep saying it.
You seem to know a lot about it. I mean,
I listened to Howard Stern for like 5 minutes this morning.
I know the general drift of this.
Well, that's all I kind of know.
I see the headlines. I don't read the articles.
I see the headlines. I'm not sitting there watching the whole interview or whatever. Headlines.
Yeah.
Even the Chris Rock, I'm sick. Who cares at this point?
Yeah.
It's like the most nothing sexual scandal. This is America. Can we get back to having a real sex scandal?
Well, the culture is in a toilet. It's been in a toilet for a long time. So we keep finding new lows. How low can we go?
I mean, I have a feeling
we can keep going.
I have a feeling we can go lower.
Okay, well, something to look forward to.
But this isn't even low. It's just boring. Like,
yeah, it's low. It's boring.
Who drops the kids off at school, or who feeds the dog?
Yeah,
pitiful.
Yeah, it is.
I'm sorry. Another scandal.
Oh no!
Apparently,
we're gonna be a scandal podcast now.
No, this is it. This is all the Hollywood tea I had.
Okay.
Apparently, if you can believe it, early in their relationship, and they were like 20.
Here we go. I thought we were moving on to a new scandal.
Justin Timberlake may have cheated on Britney Spears.
Oh, okay.
You believe it?
All right. Okay.
A 20-year-old Justin Timberlake may have been unfaithful.
May have. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Let's get the gears going. That's going to be the whole next 2 weeks.
Well, Britney Spears has a book coming out, so that's what's going on there.
Yeah. Breaking news: world's most popular, handsome single. Well, he wasn't single. Handsome, rich celebrity may have cheated on his girlfriend.
Yeah. Whoever heard of that happening in the history of the world?
My mind just walked out of my skull to walk down the street to have a drink. It's like, whoa.
Yeah. It's too much.
No.
Too much.
Greg Wilson cheats on Britney Spears. That's a story. 20-year-old JT. Come on now. So, come on.
Are you going to get the Britney book?
Of course, I'm going to get the Britney book.
Okay.
Is that what it is? A book? She's got
I
a
know
book?
one book you're not getting. The Bernie Taupin book.
Yeah. Who's
Yeah.
reading that?
Well, there are fans of Elton John. Believe it or not. Yeah, I tried to the audience. I tried to have a musical opening. I never really got deep into Elton John's early albums. I came on. My sister, my older sister Mary, was the first one buying albums in my family.
Mhm.
So she became an Elton John fan. It was sort of his peak period. Don't Shoot Me, I'm Only a Piano Player. I think
Mhm.
I even had the single, Daniel.
Mhm.
So that's where I got on board. She got his albums from that point on to Blue Moves, which was sort of a Elton John killer for me.
Hold on that.
Well, there's nothing on it. That's the problem.
Oh.
And it was like
That's the problem.
it was a double album. I mean, all his previous albums at least had one or two great songs. I think an argument could be made after listening to. I just did a binge listen.
Mhm.
I listened to his albums from 69 through 75.
Mhm.
To me, that's his peak period. And the albums are solid, but there's always like one or two great songs. So I think people can make an argument that he's a great singles artist, not very dissimilar to Tom Petty, who you dismissed on a previous episode of this podcast.
Correct.
Now, when I suggested, doing a binge listen of the early Elton John albums, tell the audience what your response was.
Was it Hell No?
Well, you used another word.
Hell Nope. You want me to say the F word, Mike? Is that what it's come to?
No, you described his music as being beige.
Yes, it's like, first of all, here's two middle-aged dudes who love music, but we're going to choose one guy that both of us admit we have never really been into, and then we're going to talk about his 9,000 songs.
Well, I was into Elton John at the time when those big albums were coming out. Those were the only albums I had to play, so I was listening to him constantly. Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, Captain Fantastic, and the Brown Dirt Cowboy. Those were formidable albums in my youth. Listened to them quite a bit.
I can't imagine anything more boring than the two of us going through some guy whose music we don't love. Come on.
No, I do love. I love the singles. I think the singles are great.
I would agree that I think I've always compared him and Billy Joel, which I don't know if that's fair or anybody else does. Like, I feel like
I don't think it's fair.
A nice
I don't think it's fair to Elton John.
Well, I think you could put together a nice 45, one side of a 90-minute cassette tape, a nice mix. I'd be very happy with. I think Elton John's highs are higher than Billy Joel's highs. Okay. When I was coming of age and hearing music, whatever, was when he had his big comeback. I think it was a comeback with, like, I guess that's why they call it the blues. I'm Still Standing, Sad Song, Say So Much.
Yeah.
I like all those songs. But am I going back and digging through his 90 albums? No.
So you never listened to Goodbye Yellow Brick Road?
No.
Well, I would think
great musician. What he did at Diana's funeral, I mean, the Onions, to pull that off without breaking, that was some ice water in your veins, professional musician shit. Egg Foo What Cat Doft. I have a lot of respect for him, but I can't imagine going through his albums and like.
So we weren't going to do a song by song analysis. I mean, it sounds like to me you've never listened to the albums.
No.
So you've heard a few songs.
Yeah, I know
you kind of liked them.
I kind of like them, but not enough. He's just always. What I meant was he's just always been there. Like, I don't remember a world when there weren't 50 Elton Johns on the radio songs.
No, I get it. Yeah, he's been overplayed. He's a light FM staple.
Right.
You hear him in the supermarket. Yeah, you don't really have to be a fan to hear his music. It's out there. I get that, but I think if you listen to the music closely, it's worth checking out. And particularly with you, you're a Beatles fan. I mean, he's a great pop song writer, and his stuff approaches some of the Beatles. He's got orchestrations going on. I mean, it's really,
But
it's not like pop bubblegum, it's.
Do we ding him a little bit because, like Brian Wilson, he doesn't write any of the words?
Well, he had a collaboration. It was a collaboration. I don't ding him for that.
So now, after 50 years of this very public figure, we all know and love Elton John. He's a celebrity. He's always out there doing stuff. We all feel like we know Elton John.
Mm-hmm.
Even me, who's not a fan.
Mm-hmm.
But now we want to read a book by the half of the partnership that nobody, like you, could you recognize Bernie Taupin if he walked in front of you?
No.
Do you know or care anything about him?
I mean, I know
the
old pictures, sort of what he looked like back in the 70s.
Oh, there you go. Okay, cool.
Yeah, like I said, I got off pretty early, and from all accounts, the 80s were not a good decade for him.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not a lifelong fan of Elton John, but I think that 6-year period is one of the strongest runs, of any pop artist. I mean, it's a strong run.
But I struggle. Same thing with Brian Wilson. Can he truly be a genius on the level of other geniuses if he doesn't even, I don't say he doesn't care about the words, but he hasn't written a single word for 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a little weird to me. Like, nobody, even when he got to be Elton John, did he think, you know what, fucking maybe I got something to say.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know how, if he just blindly takes the words and does this music and doesn't really care, or he really, whatever. But it's a little weird to me. That's like, I love.
Well, I'm going to turn your argument against you.
Huh?
I'm going to turn your argument against you.
But
Elvis Presley, ever hear of him?
Nobody calls Elvis Presley a songwriter.
Well, who's calling Elton John a songwriter?
You.
No, I'm saying he's a collaborator.
Songwriter.
He's a collaborator. He collaborates with the songwriter, just like Jerry Garcia collaborated with his songwriter. It's a partnership. It's music. A band, like a band.
Elvis didn't do any of that. That's a bad example, bro.
What do you mean? It's the same thing. He was just a performer. I mean, Elton John's writing the music.
Yeah.
I mean, Elvis Presley did even less. He's not even doing the music.
I think the right analogy would be Brian Wilson, who doesn't seem to give a shit whatever the words are.
He did it one time.
I love Brian
Wilson. Peak period.
What?
Didn't he write the words during the peak period?
No,
he never did.
Van Dyke Parks.
Okay.
He always had a guy.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not saying he didn't write any words at any time, but he always had a collaborator writing the words. So can I put him on the same level as Lennon McCartney, Ray Davies, Paul Westerberg? It's tough. And unlike Elton John, I feel like I know more of Brian Wilson's music.
So when you dismissed the Elton John idea, talking about him on the show,
and I still do,
you suggested instead that we revisit a certain album.
Well, I just, to be clear, I just don't think anybody cares about hearing two guys talk about some guy they don't really care about. Yes. Now, this is a good topic. Albums by bands we love, that are like universally acknowledged as being terrible. And the ultimate one seems to be the Clash's Cut the Crap, which, as terrible as it is, still does have one legit Clash classic on it. But it's pretty terrible. Would you say that's the best example of that, or?
Oh, I thought you were, when you brought it up, I thought you were going to try and make the case that it's a worthwhile album. So you're saying it's worthwhile because it's got one cut on it that you like?
It's got one song that they pretended Cut the Crap never happened until about, they had some box set, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, when they finally acknowledged This Is England. because that's how great the song is. It somehow triumphed over Cut the Crap.
No, it's not Top Shelf. It's one of their. They're trying to do that, get that rap sound going. Whenever they tried to be funky, whenever they tried to incorporate some rap elements, it's
Right,
not.
but that's not on This Is England. That's on all the other.
That synthesized beat they got on there. It's got.
It could have been. It could have. It is a victim of its time. It could have been recorded differently, but it's still a great song. And certainly, compared to the other turds on that album.
So I listened to this album, and it's in perfect condition. I didn't realize I had. I don't think I played it since the first time I played it. Really, the first side is so terrible with those synthesized horns going. It's like a mess. It's like, how did anybody listen to that and think this is worth serving out to the public?
Well, I'll tell you how. It's called kicking Mick Jones out of your band.
Yeah, and
Bernie Rhodes was his partner then.
Yeah.
So just a onslaught of bad ideas.
Yeah, no, I'm a Joe Strummer fan, but it's a bumpy road. This being the first major bump. Earthquake Weather, I remember getting that when it came.
Oh God.
So
I remember trying to get through that lyric sheet that came with the booklet, but it's like I'm just peeling off page, like they were tiny print, like wow, all the words. Did he put all the words?
Well, Cut the Crap, I guess they had so little respect for most of the songs on there. You only get the lyrics to 3 of the songs, which is weird.
Not if you know the songs.
Yeah, and it's not even This Is England. Didn't even make the 3-song cut. But I actually saw this edition of The Clash live.
Did you?
Yeah.
You saw them at Bonds, right?
Well, I saw them at Bonds, but then I saw the 3-guitar attack.
Wow.
And it was something at Rider College in New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
And it was not that well attended because we literally were on the lip of the stage. It was in a like a basketball court. So you had like sort of the bleachers on the sides, and then the floor was open, and you could just sort of go up as close as you wanted. So me and my friends are right on the lip of the stage. The saliva is flying right over our head. And it's so loud that my ears were ringing at the end of that show. I think I did serious harm to my hearing during that show. I remember enjoying it. I don't believe they really were playing anything from the new album.
Yeah, I mean, they're all obviously like the two. I forget their names. I'm sure I knew it at some point. Pete Howard, or I'm sure I knew them at some point. They're all probably. I'm sure they're all amazing musicians. And
Nick Shepard, Pete Howard, and Vince White. Yeah. Not even distinctive names.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that they're all obviously great guitar players. So I'm sure they played everything great. But yeah, there's also a reason they didn't play anything off that album. But you would admit that This Is England, even with it, I know you're right that production, if they could re-record it, I'm sure it'd be better. But that is at least a great song. Would you admit that?
No, I think it's second tier, not top shelf.
What's better than it?
Second tier. Well, anything on London.
I'm not saying you have to put in the top 10, but it's up there for me.
Okay, no, I know it is, and that's why I thought when you brought it up, I thought you were going to make a case for the whole record.
I'm going to let you in on another dirty little secret, young Michael. I've never loved most of Combat Rock.
Yeah, and I'm not a huge fan of that. No, I mean, it's got some big cuts.
I mean, the dirty secret with the Clash is, as much as I love the Clash, and you know how much I love the Clash, and I worship Joe Strummer. When you sit back, they didn't have an incredibly long or deep catalog as you might have thought.
No.
Yes, they had one great debut album that it's kind of one long song, and it's great. And a sophomore album that when it hits, it's amazing. Not an A+, but
I think that's underrated. The second album.
You're probably right. It's a little underrated. Like the high, like Safe European Home is, as you call it, top tier.
Top shelf, top shelf.
Top shelf. Sorry.
Well,
Even better.
some bartender lingo.
Somebody just got a nickname. And you're right. It's probably a little underrated. And then, of course, London Calling's London Calling.
Mm-hmm.
Sandinista is amazing, but it really could have been edited down to
Mm-hmm.
a single album.
Did you ever hear of something called Sandinista Now? And I guess this was like a promotional album only, sent to radio stations, and it was only one album culled from Sandinista.
Oh,
I'm curious what songs made the cut, because that might be a kind of a really solid album.
well, you happen to know somebody who has publicly listed his what would a single album be from Sandinista.
Okay, yeah.
If you're interested. Whatever.
Might want to retweet that one.
I'll put that out there. And then a couple of great singles and at least one EP,
Mm-hmm.
Cost of Living EP, and the Gates of the West EP.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of shocking how kind of threadbare their catalog is. And then what is there is pretty great, but it's like,
yeah, it's a relatively short career, yeah, and then when it goes into decline, which it starts to on Sandinista, there's some bloat on there that they should have known better.
I remember a couple of years ago, reading, I don't know how old the book was. He was like, well, Sandinista was meant to be for someone to like pick up the needle and just drop it over and over. And it's like, well, who fucking does that? and then
people with ADD. I mean, yeah, it's like
And when Spotify came out or whatever, when their stuff started streaming, I remember thinking, gee, well, now you can skip around like Mick wanted.
Yeah. That was Mick Jones' quote.
But the key to Cut the Crap is, and again, I'm Team Joe. I love Joe Strum, but that's when it really shows how musical Mick Jones was. He was the actual musical talent.
Yeah.
You get rid of that, it's like, all right, good luck writing songs with Bernie fucking Rhodes. Who,
Could you think of any other really bad swan songs like Cut the Crap? I mean, somebody mentioned Velvet Underground Squeeze, which I'm not even familiar with that record.
I literally didn't know that existed until like a year ago.
Okay, well, I just learned about it today.
And even the cover art is like vaguely like loaded.
It looks weird, yeah.
And I think I brought it up to our friend Will. He was talking about how handsome Waddy is. And I made him, I said, look, while you're taking a break about how handsome Waddy is, I think I mentioned, of course, he was like, oh, of course, you haven't heard of that? What are you, an idiot? I literally, it's not that I hadn't listened to it. I literally didn't know it existed.
Yeah, no, it's not really discussed much. And, I'm a fan of the Velvet Underground, but I can't believe I've gone this whole time, never heard of it.
Never even heard of it.
And then I looked at some of the All Music Guide reviews, and people are saying it's underrated. So
it would have to be.
Now I'm curious. Now I'm curious about it.
Well, that's how they get you, Mike.
Maybe I'll check it out during the week.
But when you say Swan Song, does that have to be the last album? Because you look at a band like, I mean, of course, my number one, True Love, the Ramones. But, pretty much all of their albums by the end were kind of like, ugh. Now, they would always have like one or two cuts that were great. Just stick it on the front and then shit on the rest of it and then never play them all live anyway. Or do you want to find the last album, The Great Band, that is just a turd?
Well, yeah, that's kind of what Cut the Crap is. I mean, they kind of crapped out, it's like,
this good one. Who was the critic who had that famous, I don't think it was Chris Gow,
Chris Gow defends the album. He gave it a B+.
Well, he just wants to be an asshole.
Well, I think he's just loyal to the band, and it would have looked bad if he kind of...
Yeah, it's like John Winter whenever Mick Jagger puts out an album. 10 stars.
He built him up as the greatest rock and roll band ever. And then here comes Cut the Crap. Well, must have really been a mind blower for him.
But somebody's whole review was cut the.
No. Maybe Grail Marcus. He's kind of.
Might have been him.
He does those one-liners.
I mean, to me, that's tough to beat. But then again, I'm wrestling with it because I do love This Is England so much. So is that enough to make me want to move on to another shitty Swan song? What do you have? What's your
No, I've been trying to think all day, and I couldn't really come up with one. So I put it out on Twitter's, and
well,
somebody mentioned Squeeze, and somebody mentioned an Alice Cooper album. I never went deep with him, so
is that Alice Cooper? Did he mention it? But like
I didn't make it to the end with the Ramones, shockingly.
yeah, I mean
I sort of bailed after Too Tough to Die, which I did. I thought that was a great record, but I was kind of done after that because the reviews after that were pretty dismal.
yeah, like Animal Boy and Halfway to Sanity, half of them are great, half are like unlistenable.
Uh-huh.
And then they trapped out a couple of their albums. But same thing with REM. Like after like Bill Berry left, they put out like 1 million albums. I love REM. I could not give a shit about any of those stuff.
Actually, that might be a good candidate. I mean, I try to listen to the very end with REM, but yeah, they were getting harder to listen to.
But
I
the
don't know what.
difference between that and Cut the Crap is it was like a bit of a sustained greatness, and then it's like it hit a wall, and then poof. Whereas like REM just kind of went on and on. Like, I'll say a band I love whose last album I couldn't give two shits about, and everyone's gonna get upset at me, is All Shook Down.
Okay, yeah.
You're not paying me to listen to that fucking record. Everybody's going, what about Merry-Go-Round? Oh, get the fuck out of here.
It's a mellow record. I don't think it's bad. I think I was more disappointed by Don't Tell a Soul. That just seemed like it was so polished that they were like, oh, we're going to change our whole sound and try and go for the gusto and get a radio hit, which I don't begrudge them that, but it just seemed like a sellout. I don't throw that word around a lot. Everybody wants to call bands a sellout when they do something.
Yeah, I never like that.
I think bands, are entitled to try and become popular. I mean, to try and make a living. But
I've never gotten into that sellout bullshit. Like,
yeah, no,
I love a band. I want everybody in the world to hear them. And
right. But Don't Tell a Soul just felt like such a blatant, change of direction that it was like, oh, is this the same band that I love? This is something different.
Sit down tonight and listen to All Shook Down, and I promise you this is going to be you at the end. Huh.
No, like all shook down is just like, to me, like, all right, yeah, it's like a solo record, and he's going in this different direction, and so it kind of makes sense that he was going to go in his own direction. He wasn't going to be this raucous rock guy anymore. He's going to be a little more sensitive and less rocking, I guess. And that was sort of where he went. I mean, he never really kept that hard rock sound. He never brought that back. He became more of a pop guy. So made sense to me. And it's mellow. I'll put it on, listen to it. Feels like a, Sunday afternoon record.
Oh. But I guess the world's littered with bands that like peter out, like an REM or the Ramones, or like at least the Ramones, the last 3 or 4 albums, I could cobble together like a 14-song album of songs I love from those albums. REM just has 20 albums after Bill Berry that I don't. I can't think of a better example than Cut the Crap, where it just slammed into a brick wall. Yeah. It was so bad, everybody pretended it didn't happen for 20 years.
Yeah, no, I was, I thought maybe I unloaded that record. I was surprised it was still in the stacks, and it's in mint condition,
untouched.
It's an import. I think I must have paid more money for it.
Wow, you were itching to get your little paws on it.
I was such a fan, and now I got to put it up on disc. What is it, Disclogs or whatever the hell that thing is.
I like you referring to the stacks.
Yeah. Well, I do have some stacks. I never got rid of my records, and
Mike's lost in the stacks. He's gonna be a while.
Still alphabetized. Didn't. I was able to find it pretty easily. Anyway, so this week coming off
Nick
our
Jones out, pay the price.
so coming off mystery dish number one last week, I'm still not ready to go back to Chinese takeout. I just need a break. And is this the end? Maybe. Who knows? We did a pretty we did a pretty thorough job with the Chinese takeout menu. I think if people want to make suggestions, if we miss something, hey, put it in the comments section. You know, if there's a specific dish you want to hear us try, let us know.
Is this a good time for fan mail? We have a fan letter.
Oh, do we? Well, let me. All right, yeah, let's go. Let's go with the fan mail. All right, go ahead.
Okay. I mean, I don't know if it's fan mail, but so wrote in gents, classy opener. This isn't fan mail as much as like a suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
I highly recommend bad Chinese food reviews via Google. Warms my heart. Main Moon in Highland, New York has some gems. And so then he posts one of the reviews, and the guy goes, whoever reviewed it, good food, but after telling them about food allergies, they said no problem. Hour later in the bathroom throwing up. Had to use the EpiPen. Never again. Here's the best part. The owner responds, I don't know what happened, but sorry to hear that. I love the chutzpah. I don't know what happened. I think we know what happened. Told you about the food allergies. Nobody gave a shit kitchen.
Yeah, it's a whole different world with the internet. I mean, I can go down a rabbit hole with restaurant reviews. I mean, they are amusing.
The owner's dumb response is the best part to me.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened.
Yeah. Well, most of it. Well, yeah. Sometimes the owners are brave enough to, comment on a complaint and try and right the ship there. Mm-hmm. But a lot of times they just comment on, thanking them for the high praise when they get a 5-star review.
Yeah.
But
jumped right on this one.
The negative reviews can be quite amusing.
What happened? Were you eating from another restaurant while you were in this restaurant? That got you sick?
What happened? So something happened. Yeah.
I don't know what happened. So thank you. I don't want to give the guy's name out unless he wants.
Well, give him a shout out. He sent you some mail.
Can I say his name?
Yeah.
All right. Brendan O'Sullivan.
Okay. Thanks, Brendan. People. Let's get let's get some more fan mail coming in. We'll field your questions. Take up some ideas for the show. But anyway, I had an idea after last week's show. I figured, a nice segue, since we got into a nice discussion about chili, different types of chili around the country, and we struck a nerve with the Nebraska chili.
Yes.
Where they like chili with cinnamon rolls, which I'm still trying to wrap my head around with that one. But Jessica Elsner, she did a little report on Facebook.
If I'm not wrong, is your new Grateful Dead BFF. Thank you.
Yes.
For taking some of that off my plate.
Yeah, she's doing a deep dive on the Dick's picks, and I've tried to steer her in the direction of the good stuff because there's a lot of bad stuff. I don't love every Grateful Dead thing. I jumped off the bus in '78 and I was done pretty much. They went on another. They went on until the mid '90s. So yeah, I was out a long time.
I don't know a lot of people from Nebraska. I don't know a lot about Nebraska, but this cinnamon bun chili thing sounds horrifying.
And it sounds like, according to, there was a lot of input from some people in Nebraska talking about that they received it in elementary school. So they developed a taste. Who knew that people doing the menus for elementary schools would form the food habits of the kids, for a lifetime, apparently.
Well, it makes sense, I guess.
Yeah. And I'm wondering, because I actually knew a guy who did that. He was a cook in a school in Bayonne, and he'd do the menus and stuff. But I'm wondering, is this just like a coincidental thing that happened because, it's dictated by the cost of the food they can get. So maybe just randomly, they got a good deal on chili and they got a good deal on cinnamon rolls. Voila.
If it's such a regional thing, maybe that's,
Yeah. And I guess, maybe it was a big seller. The kids liked it. You can
I can see where if I was a kid,
yeah,
sure, especially
yeah,
compared to like the other like mushed up, like part of the reason I think I don't appreciate vegetables as much as I'm trying to or should is when you grow up in the South, in the time I did, vegetables meant we're gonna crush them into a pulp so they're disgusting and look like buggers and just instead of like here's some asparagus.
So it was a texture. It was a texture that
they would just
did you in.
Blend them into a pulp.
Uh-huh.
If you hand me a leaf of spinach right now, I'd be like, oh, this is delightful. Thank you, Michael. But back now, just pulp, just make it. It's like, so yeah, that was a bad start for me with vegetables. So,
did we talk about Al Michaels, who claims to have never? Have we talked about that? Did we talk about that last week?
I think so. Yeah, he all of a sudden out of nowhere last week he announces he's never
eaten a vegetable. Yeah,
and I'm like, A, does that count potatoes?
Mm-hmm.
B, how's this motherfucker been on TV for 60 years and this has never come up?
Uh-huh. And he claims he's living proof that vegetables aren't important. Which
I
is
mean,
kind of absurd. But anyway,
that's the one thing I love. That's the one thing I do like about our former president. I mean, he seems to be eating McDonald's 6 times a day, and he might outlive us all. And he has a no exercise policy. So I'm like, well, look at. I mean, he's old.
You don't call golf exercise?
Not when he's on a cart.
Anyway, back to the chili and cinnamon rolls.
Yes.
So yeah, there's you can check it out on Facebook. Jessica Elsener did a lengthy got a big response from people.
Are you sticking it on my face because I'd never get any response?
Well, no, I'm going to stick it in your face shortly. So, so anyway, in the report, we also find out about I guess it's a Nebraska chain of restaurants called Runza. And it's a menu item there. It's like prominently featured, the chili and cinnamon rolls. So I guess if you're passing through Nebraska, maybe you want to do that. Hit a Runza.
Because by now I feel like a lot of these regional dishes have kind of, everybody kind of knows about them. How have these things never made it out of Nebraska?
Yeah, I guess it's tough for the Midwest getting the attention of the East Coast and the West Coast, the snobs.
Yeah, but nowadays, it's surprising to me. But you suggested we try it.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get to it. Let's make it. We're gonna make cinnamon rolls and chili. Is there a name for it?
I'm not making cinnamon rolls. I'm gonna buy one. You're actually you're gonna cook cinnamon. I mean, you can get them right and just heat it up.
You mean just stick them in the oven? You get the cylinder too.
Pillsbury or whatever. Right. Yeah. Okay. I guess I could look for those.
Oh, you're talking about just buying an already made cinnamon bun.
Well, Entenmann's, have really good cinnamon rolls. You could do that.
I think of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is that what they do?
You can. I mean, yeah. I don't know that it has to be piping hot out of the oven. Maybe it is. Maybe that's a better way to go. You're saying I can find these easily in the frozen section?
Yeah. Yeah. They're just like any other biscuit.
They're in the biscuit section.
I think I'd like to do it that way.
Okay.
I don't want to show you up.
I've got access to a lot of good cinnamon rolls around me. So
do what you want to do, bro.
I had multiple options, but I thought, that would be a smooth segue, but you shoot it down. You shot it down. I was like, it would have been nice to have done it this week after last week talking about it.
Get to it because,
I had the Hormel chili, which I was worried about the expiration date.
No need to. Trust me.
Turns out I got 3 more years on those cans of chili that I have. So
the Hormel people are laughing at you.
I think I'm still good, but I don't think I've ever seen an expiration date that far out.
Well, I
Three
love,
years, 3 years, it'll last.
well, I think in 3 years, they're just going to check again and be like, yeah, it's still good.
I mean, I've got a can of Spam that's been kicking around a long time. I'm interested to see if that expiration date lasts longer.
I mean, I love Hormel, but even I'm not pretending it's real food. I mean, but it didn't even occur to me to just get a cinnamon bun and do that. I immediately thought I would do the old Pillsbury, slide them in the oven, but
well, that's a good idea. I mean, I think people probably do like, fresh cinnamon rolls rather than the store bought. But
if I thought of that, then I could have done it this week. But are you saying it's no good if we do it next week? The momentum is gone, or?
Well, it would have been nice to do it this week. The segue. I'm always thinking about the segue.
You are. I'm just a big dumb. I'm just no good.
Trying to keep you good. I gave you some lead time, so I figured you could buy a can of Hormel and some cinnamon rolls, and you'd be ready to go.
Couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. You're too busy. You're busy trying to do good things for the show, and I'm just can't do it. So I want to do it for next week.
So when that got shot down, I just said, let's do another mystery dish.
Shot down.
It was shot down. You said you responded to me, and I'm looking for the response. I never got a response.
I responded to you, and then I responded to you when you said you didn't respond to me.
I saw that response. I didn't see the so-called previous response.
Oh, I don't like that tone, Mike. So-called.
I mean, you could just go up the thread and you see that there was no response. I mean,
unless something happened, I don't know, buddy. I said, can we do it next week? Because it's hard.
Oh, you blaming Elon Musk suppressed your your DM?
Is he getting into our DMs?
I never got that the DM.
Is that he's already gone all as far as let me fuck with Mike and Greg? He's gone that far now.
He's coming after us. Is
he really out of ideas?
Yeah, he's out of ideas. So
anyway, I like it as an idea. I'd like to do it. I just couldn't do it in the 2 days or whatever.
Okay.
And I didn't think of the whole just grab a cinnamon bun. Because I'm a purist. I'm a perfectionist.
Okay. All right.
I don't want to do it, or you just want to do it quick because you don't care about the fans. That's all right. That's fine.
I care about the fans. I'm trying to give the fans all I can.
But hey, big ups to Nebraska.
So anyway, we'll hopefully follow that up next week. And so we went with another mystery dish because I'm still got the jitters about getting back to the Chinese food.
What was it? The
Szechuan beef.
Yeah,
beef.
I'm okay going back to Chinese food, but I get it after that thing.
I mean, beef may be my, you've got your no-go shrimp.
Oh,
I think I have no-go beef now from this point on. Maybe that's a way of going forward.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. Oh, but I'm history's greatest monster because I don't like shrimp. Well, you can't pick and choose. You can't like and.
Well, I like beef. I'm done with Chinese takeout beef. It's a different
I'm with
subject.
You on that. Mine was no prize either. So
So what did you do for the mystery dish?
Well, I'm going to surprise you because, of course, the first thing I thought of, and the next 100, right up until the moment I decided I was going to get egg foo young.
Again, so you're just going to eat it every week.
A, just to be funny, and B, because yes, I'm like, why would I not? But then I decided it's been a couple of months since I've gone to my work cafeteria. You remember my whole saga with the sandwich?
Yeah.
I just couldn't do it. But I was like, you know what? It's fall. I come back to life in the fall. Let's have a Dickensian return to light. I made my triumphant return to the work cafeteria today, and let me say, it was delightful.
Okay.
I was about to walk in, and I'm thinking, oh, the girls, the girls who I've gotten this great rapport with, and they know my sandwich, and they love, I was like, they're not gonna. I think it's been 2 or 3 months. I'm like, they're not gonna remember me. That's gonna, whatever. No, I walked through the door, boom, sandwich is already getting halfway done.
Wow.
I remembered everything.
Did they ask where have you been?
No, because like an idiot, I thought they cared. So right away, I'm like, oh, I've been bringing my own lunch. I just wanted to see what, and I'm bullshitting this and that. thinking she cares, which,
Mhm.
uh, the, but it was delightful. We did the bizzo back and forth. I'm getting the laughs. She's getting how you doing, this and that. A
Mhm.
couple of jokes about the weather. Sandwich is beautiful.
What is the sandwich again?
Uh, Turkey, cheese. Now they only have cheddar. They don't have American. That's all right.
Mhm.
Lettuce, tomato, crunchy lettuce.
Mhm.
She even talk, Mike.
No, I,
Even
I'm letting that pregnant pause breathe.
pregnant pause. Let me tell you something. So if you remember, it took me weeks to get her to stop automatically reaching for the crappy lettuce, the
Yeah,
limp,
yeah, the leafy.
the leafy lettuce. I'd always have to say, no, please, they're crunchy
Yeah.
stuff. Now that I think about it, I'm like, why? If not for a sandwich, why is it the crunchy stuff even sitting there if nobody else
Mhm.
uses it? Finally got it so that, she knew that, boom, didn't miss a beat, right to
Mhm.
the good lettuce. I was overwhelmed. It was beautiful. It was great to be back. Great sandwich. I totally enjoyed my mystery meal number 2. And up until that moment, I was really jazzed to get some egg foo young, but I was like, you know what? I think today's the day to go back and see my crew, my girls. So
Well, I think you saw a photograph. It just goes to show, while we're on the subject of lettuce, what a what a
yes,
what a what a what a sandwich killer lettuce can
I don't
be.
get it.
I got a sandwich from a place. I've been there a couple times. Good stuff. Really, really nice place. It's a lunch and breakfast place. And I went there. I've gotten a sandwich there before. They had like a Nashville hot chicken sandwich, and it said coleslaw, right, with
Mhm.
it. And I assumed, well, the coleslaw will be on the side. I wasn't expecting coleslaw to be on the sandwich.
What kind of sandwich?
It was a Nashville hot chicken sandwich,
Okay, I've
and
seen.
and and it was really good,
Yeah,
really good. But I would have preferred the coleslaw being on the side.
I usually ask for it on the side because a lot of barbecue and hot
That's a
chicken spaghetti,
standard thing.
it does. I think to kind of because if it's super hot, they want to kind of.
Hmm.
In a lot of barbecue sandwiches, they'll throw the slaw on it. I like it on the
Okay.
side, but
Oh, okay. Well, that was a life lesson.
that thing you sent around,
Uh-huh.
I'm picturing it now. It looked like a dark green single piece of toilet paper left in the sink.
It
Like
was
just
scary looking. If you want to look it up on Twitter, I posted it the other couple days ago. Yeah, this was supposedly romaine. I went
get
back
the
to the
hell out.
I went back to the menu, and it says romaine. That's all it says. And it was, otherwise it was another great sandwich, except the inclusion of this piece of lettuce. It was a grilled chicken sandwich with fresh mozzarella, roasted peppers, a
Mhm.
little balsamic, which is a standard sandwich I used to get in delis in Bayonne.
Mhm.
They never put lettuce on it, so it was never something I even thought about. And then so I get this thing home, and I'm chomping down, and I'm like,
Mm.
what is this wet thing ruining the sandwich? And it's a piece of lettuce. What's it doing there? Who thought this was a good idea? And like you said, it looked like it was fished out of the sink, or like
Yeah.
it looked terrible. It looked like seaweed. It looked like, it was like a horror. People thought it was a dead bat. I mean, people were like
Who thinks this is good?
horrified. But can you think of a sandwich where something showed up and you're like, who thought this was a good idea? Just bad ideas in sandwich making.
Well, I've always bitched about the McDonald's McChicken sandwich,
Uh-huh.
which I love, but if they would just not boil the mayonnaise first, it would
Yeah.
be even better.
I think you mentioned
Um,
the hot
no, I mean
mayo.
that shit was jarring. I do not. Let me tell you something. If anything comes out of this whole project,
Hmm.
number one, I want people to love egg foo
You think
young.
of this as a project? That's very
I don't
that's
know.
that's very endearing.
What do you call it? I don't know.
It's I don't know. I think of it as a nice distraction.
Nice distraction. Yeah, I agree.
A
Yeah.
project. Yeah.
Right.
It's not going into the Smithsonian. I don't think it's going in there.
Right. Nice distraction. You're right. If I get anybody to learn to love egg foo young, learn to love, that sounds insulting. And by that I mean eat egg foo young.
Yeah.
And to get people to at least question, why are we eating this soggy, warm, stringy, tasteless? It's disgusting. You bite into it, it just comes out in strings. It's always hot. Lettuce. I do not understand. Even Chick-fil-A, which we all worship at the altar of the Chick-fil-A sandwich, they stick that dopey fucking lettuce on there.
They got lettuce on there.
And it's like, and then they'll be like, oh, that's healthy nutrition. I'm like, yeah, if I eat a barrel of it, I'll get some nice nutrition. I love crunchy, crispy lettuce. I understand there's no nutrition to it. That's fine. But this other shit, and again, yeah, spinach is nutritional, but you have to eat a gallon of it to get anything out of it. I don't understand why people, I think, I posit, if people stop for 2 seconds and thought about that lettuce, they would think to themselves, yeah, why am I eating this so-called lettuce that they just throw on without thinking about it? And it's terrible.
Yeah.
It's like going to prison. It's like going to prison and saying, wait a minute, why do we have to rape each other all the time? Let's take a minute. Do we have to do this?
Let's not go there.
Just take a second. That's all I'm saying. Take a minute. And I bet you people would be like, yeah, why are we eating this lettuce? Like, who doesn't love crispy, crunchy lettuce?
Yeah. Now, one of the worst discoveries of this journey, I think
journey,
of it
we're calling it a journey.
I think of it.
I call it a lovable distraction.
A distracting journey.
Distracting journey project.
Yeah, like we're just strolling along the trail of life and eating Chinese food. But anyway, the appearance of lettuce in any of the dishes we've gotten has generally been a real killer.
You're right.
You know, hot lettuce, wet lettuce. It's, you know, who likes that texture? There's no taste. It's tasteless. So it's like you said, it's sort of like eating toilet paper, wet toilet paper.
Yeah, I'm not.
Might as well.
Yeah, not even trying to be funny. It's like, that's what it is.
So anyway, well,
I think that's one of, if at the end of this journey of lovable distractions, we have like 5 tenets of what we've learned about Chinese food. I think one of them is they need to just stop with the lettuce. They can't
stop with the lettuce. Yeah.
They've nailed the chicken McNuggets. I don't want to get into that. If I was up to me, I would just focus on the McNuggets.
Yeah.
But stop with the lettuce. You can't do lettuce. Sorry, guys.
So anyway, my mystery dish number 2, I have a Asian, I guess it's sort of a combination fusion type restaurant. So there's this is not the place I went to last week. It's literally across the highway. But it's called Asian Harbor. I guess their main specialty is sushi. It's another sushi place. People love sushi, not me, but I did take a gander. The thing about sushi, the menus are sort of ridiculous. I mean, they come up with all these different names with slightly different combinations. On the menu for the place I went to today, they had something called pain in the ass roll.
Nice. Classy.
I'm like, what really? So I think they're just making up names as they go along with these sushis, you know, like replace an element. Hey, we got a new sauce. We have a new roll.
I think I'm starting to notice menus better now. Because like, I was at one of those Kobayashi grill places. And it's like, you know, basically choose your protein with rice and lo mein, whatever. And it's like steak and chicken, steak, chicken and filet and steak, filet and chicken and steak, steak and chicken, filet and filet. I'm like, can we just fucking, you know, this menu could be this. Like,
right. Yeah.
But it seems like, well, you pick it up, you're like, wow, look at all the stuff they have. I'm starting to sniff out a little bullshit in menus overall. Thanks to this adorable pastime, distraction journey.
Yeah, just the mathematical equations you can come up with are endless. But anyway, this Asian Harbor restaurant, they also have Thai food, which some of our early fans were, some of the snobs were saying, well, Thai food is better than Chinese takeout. I'm not.
Yeah,
I don't know if I'm willing to make such a strong judgment, but I do like Thai food. There was a really good Thai place in Bayonne called Thai O'Brien's, which is kind of a different type of name.
Irish Thai.
There was it had something to do with the owners. I think one of the owners was Irish, so they thought it was a catchy name, and it was good. And one of my standard things is, I mean, it's not very adventurous, but I do really like it a lot, is chicken pad thai. So I had the chicken pad thai today.
That's what I would probably. Yeah.
I also had the since it came up last week, the harumaki. It's a spring roll. So I got that and the chicken pad thai, and it was very nice. Both items were very good. Chicken pad thai can be, I've gotten it where it's dry, and it can be terrible. This wasn't dry. There was a fair amount of chicken in it. There was also, unusually, because I don't think every place does this, there were like sort of large chunks of tofu that sort of resemble, and I saw your face, sort of resembles, like, if you're just looking at it quickly, it sort of looks like a piece of chicken.
Oh, yeah, I've been fooled. Chicken or pork. Yeah, I've been.
Yeah. And then you get the texture, and it's kind of weird. It's got that weird texture, not very flavorful. And you're like, why is this in here? Again, maybe another thing that could have been easily left out. Wouldn't have harmed the dish in any way.
Yeah, you need a little warning to slip some tofu up in there. I mean,
well, they were kind of large hunks, so it's like, if you didn't like them, just pick them out. There were only a couple of them in there. Has the dusting of the peanuts, which is a nice little touch. Sometimes there's celery in it, but there wasn't any celery or anything like that in this one. They didn't offer a spicy, like I've gotten in Bayonne you can get a sauce with it, a hot sauce. And that's a nice little addition. I didn't want to be a pain. They didn't ask if I wanted it, so I figured it doesn't come with it. But anyway, it was a hearty meal. They gave me a lot. I'll get another meal out of it. I can only eat about half of it. So yeah, I mean, I'll give it a good strong 7.5.
Oh, okay.
How about your turkey sandwich?
My sandwich was delightful. Toasted. I get it toasted.
Oh, toast. Okay.
I'm gonna go. Now, part of this is because I was so happy to see my girls. And I couldn't believe they remembered me, much less my sandwich. I'm gonna give it an 8.8. But Thai food has always been. I wonder if, Thai food's a little more intimidating to me. Plus, I wonder if I have a problem with Thai food, because I feel like, and I don't know if it's because, I feel like I was of a certain age up in New York when Thai food kind of became a thing. And I feel like people wanted, I've never heard anybody compare Thai food and Chinese food without claiming that Thai food is much better. Thai food is much better. Way better. Chinese disgusting.
What about that place in Brooklyn? I went one time with Will and Gina. It was a large restaurant. Did you ever go to this place? I think it was Thai food, and it's like an airplane hangar. What's it called?
Planet Thailand.
Planet Thailand. All right. Well,
yeah.
There you go. You've been there?
Yeah.
I mean, I remember that being a good experience. I would get
fried rice. Now, when I first moved there to Williamsburg, they lived above. Planet Thailand was about the size of whatever the next bathroom you're going to go to is. I'm not joking. You'd be sitting there and the oven's next to you.
Oh, wow.
But it was so good, so popular that then a couple of years they opened up that space.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I assume it's still there. I mean, it was gangbusters, but it's funny. It went from as tiny as you can get and still be classified a room, much like a restaurant.
That's the American dream, isn't it?
American Dream. Yeah, and they lived right above it.
Uh-huh.
Came up to record my EP,
Hmm.
and I assume it's still there. I can't imagine
Hmm.
of all restaurants that would have gone out of business.
Yeah.
But I think I get a little bent out of shape. I feel like there's a bit of food snobbery. Like nobody can admit that they like Chinese food better than Thai food.
Yeah, I
Except
think there's a little bit of that going on.
a little
Yeah.
bit of that, right? I'm
Yeah.
not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I got to turn on this light because it's getting dark.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, so I think I got a little thing going on with my wars in my head that don't exist. Little snobbery with Thai food.
Yeah, no, I get a touch of that. Yeah. Speaking of toast, which you mentioned a little bit earlier.
I love toast.
Yeah. You posted a photo on Twitter.
I feel like you dismissed me saying that. I said I love toast. Yeah.
Oh, it's well documented. I mean, this isn't the first time you've talked about toast.
It is in my Twitter bio. So
yeah. And you posted a photo. Did you do that recently with the 5 slices of toast in the oven?
that was a video, and I couldn't post it, so I just did a screen grab of the first. And I mean, first of all, I'm embarrassed. I've lived all my years without thinking of this.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a photo.
Yeah, it was a photo of a rack in an oven with the bread standing up between the slots of the rack.
Beautiful.
Rather than using a toaster. I thought it was your personal photo, and this is your
no. I wish.
No. Oh, okay.
I need to try that.
Okay.
Because it's frustrating. Because I have a 2-slice toaster now. What you're thinking is, Greg, you could get off your ass and get a 4-slice toaster. That's fair. Because otherwise, like, I'm toasting, I'm buttering. I have the 2 pieces. 2 pieces of toast isn't enough, Mike. Come on, don't insult.
It's enough. It's enough.
Get out. No, I love toast.
4 pieces? You want 4 pieces of toast?
You don't think you could eat 4 slices of toast?
I could, but then I couldn't eat the rest of my breakfast.
That is your breakfast.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I'm not a fan of the all toast. I'd rather have an English. I think we've had this discussion.
Have you not read my business plan?
Toast versus toast versus English muffin. I'm an English muffin guy. Does that make me a snob?
Yes,
it does. Okay.
I love English muffins. I'll try an English muffin, and I'm going to try that this weekend. I'm going to do the in the right. I mean, how brilliant is that? It's been right in front of me the whole time. Hey, dummy.
English muffins are too small. I don't know if you'd be able to slot them in there. Well, you'd have to put the rack on the lowest rung, I guess.
It'd be. You know what? For you, Mike, I'm going to give it a whirl.
So anyway, I come across this article, and I'm like, this article was written just for Greg.
Oh.
How do you butter your toast? Okay. Now I'm going to give you the options. Please hold your response to the very end, because there's so many options here. I was like, it was kind of like freaking me out. So the first option is the glider. This is someone who just basically glides the butter across. Not very meticulous with the butter. Just one swipe, I guess. That's a glider. That's a glider. Total coverage. Clumpers. That's scattered, sort of clumpy and, not very meticulous. Crust avoiders.
What does that mean?
I guess they avoid getting the butter on the crust. That's going to ruin the experience somehow. Double siders, which is just, that's a little ridiculous to me, but
you can get that when you pile the toast on top of each other. The butter automatically kind of gives the underside of the other piece a little taste. Okay. But I've never intentionally buttered both sides.
Okay. Tear and spread. Have you ever torn up the toast and butter it? Okay.
Come on.
Yeah, no, some of these things, like I said, there was too much going on here. The curler. Now this is somebody who has like a special tool that they use specifically to butter their toast, and there's sort of a craftsman, I guess. That
different kind of tool comes to mind for us.
Then you've got barely there, which I guess maybe people a little more health conscious. And then the final one was, do you want toast with your spread? And I guess that's somebody who just really just slathers it on and
Mm.
to the point of too much. So which of those would you say describes your
Yeah.
toast buttering?
I think I would say the almost to the crust. Like, I don't have a policy if the butter
Total
touches
coverage?
Yeah, but what I'll do is basically go up to the crust. Like, think about if you're like pizza, the way the sauce goes, like it doesn't cover the total thing. It goes like an inch up to the crust.
Okay.
I think that's kind of how I butter it. But I
Okay.
don't have a thing where if it touches the crust, it ruins it.
Okay.
But I feel like that's what I do.
So you're not
I want total coverage up until the crust.
All right. So you're not a crust avoider. You're more of a total coverage.
I guess closer to total coverage, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not
Okay.
a
Well,
clumper.
that was the second most popular style.
What was the first one?
And this also, the way you spread the butter also says a lot about your personality. So the total coverage people, there's
Awesome.
about 19% of people responded to that. And these people are more methodical and precise.
Well, that's not me, so. But wouldn't I be more of the
when
no
it comes to
crust guy?
buttering bread, you know?
When I go to the crust, I'm a no crust guy because they go up to the crust, but not on the crust.
The glider was the most popular. You know, I guess the people are casual. They just like swipe some butter across the bread and they're happy. 50% they responded that they were gliders. And these people are easygoing and calm.
That's me. I'm way more easygoing and calm than I am methodical.
So you're maybe you're a total coverage glider.
I think I'm a more of a no crust. Like, I go up to the crust.
Okay, but how many swipes of the knife are we talking?
Many as it takes.
How many?
We've talked extensively about how soft the butter has to be. I'll do I'll do 7 or 8. You know, I'll make sure
7 or 8 clumps of butter.
Sure.
Spread.
No, or swipes. Like
swipes.
Yeah, I want to make it even.
Yeah.
I'm not a clumper. I like to make it pretty even.
Uh-huh.
I don't mind taking the extra time to get it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But then I start getting upset because the 2 slices, because I inhale the 2, so then I gotta wait for the next 2. So each round of toast gets slightly less toasted because I lose patience each time.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait. So as my toast rounds go on, they get less and less toasted.
Mm-hmm.
So I need a 16 slice toaster is what I'm saying. And with Christmas coming up. What kind of
well,
butter?
you know, yeah, I don't know if this applies to English muffins, but with the English muffin, I'm sort of a total coverage. You know, I like the nooks and crannies to be totally full. And I don't like getting, you know, some dry piece of English muffin if I can get a buttery one.
Well, you know what I like to do is once I get a clump, like I'll for an English muffin, I'll spread, but sometimes there's a clump. So as long as it's hot, I'll turn it up so all the butter starts oozing into the nooks and crannies.
Okay.
Let gravity, let the butter and gravity
Really?
do the work for you.
But doesn't it cause a mess? Isn't some going to come off on the plate or the table? God forbid.
If you do it and then turn your head away from it for like 5 minutes, yes. But just hold it up this way, let the butter start running, and then you revolve the thing so it covers.
Okay.
And it's like a river of butter getting into all the nooks and crannies.
Okay.
I'm embarrassed for you that I have to explain this to
All
you.
right. Well, like I said, I've seen
if you start smushing, you're gonna mess up the nooks and crannies.
I've seen the butter run pretty quickly. So, you know, I'm always trying to avoid the runoff. I don't want butter runoff.
You might get a little butter runoff, but it'll be worth it because if you worry so much, if you're trying to get in the nooks and crannies, you start smushing the nooks and crannies with your knife. And then no nooks and crannies, why have the English muffin?
Okay.
That's my beef with the whole sausage egg McMuffin nonsense at McDonald's.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an English muffin. There's no nooks and crannies. It's just a steamed bun with like cutouts that look like English muffin. Mm-hmm. Just try it, Mike. Do yourself a favor. That's all.
Yeah.
I love English muffins. It's always a treat whenever you get it. I don't know why they don't have more English muffins as like hamburger buns.
Yeah, no, I'm happy with that. I've done that many times. Yeah.
Like it's always a thrill
Mhm.
when I see it on the menu. Oh, like you can get on it. It's like it used to be a thrill whenever you see
Mhm.
tater tots pop up on the
Mhm.
menu. Now it's all everywhere.
It's less bread. I mean, sometimes I'll
It's a little
get
less bread.
my local place will do a burger and they're using Kaiser rolls.
Yeah.
Which Kaiser rolls are great, but I don't want a hamburger on it. I'm like eating a loaf of bread with a hamburger. So
Yeah,
yeah,
casserole's too much.
so an English muffin is like the complete opposite. It's like, let me just
Right.
get a little coverage with the English muffin, toasted. Yeah, toasted is
Beef is
better.
always the beef is always hanging out a little
Oh
bit.
yeah, yeah.
You're 100%
So
right.
it's like, it's really just functioning so you can hold the damn thing. you know?
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean,
you have to hold it like you don't hold it like you have to
uh-huh.
hold it so you're not touching the meat. You have to hold it
Right.
like, you know.
Yeah. So it's more of just a holder than in addition to the sandwich.
But it is a delight when that pops up on the
Oh
menu.
yeah, no, I do it myself. So yeah, some of the other, the personalities, the clumpers are considered scattered, think outside the box. The crust avoiders are considered neat and tidy people.
That's not
Uh,
none of
double
these people are me.
double siders are creatives, extroverted, use the use the abstract side of their brain.
Oh god.
Really. And the tear and spread, what do they say? Let me see.
That's not for like I'll do that with like a dinner roll. Like you're talking, you grab the dinner roll, rip it in half, and start buttering it. But you don't do that with like white bread toast, right?
I'll do that with a bagel where,
Or bagel, yeah.
I've got the bagel, it's butter, but then about halfway, I'm like, there's not enough butter. Let me start putting another piece of butter with each mouthful.
Yeah. Bagels take a lot of about a couple years ago, Nigella Lawson came out. You know her, that British chef? Or I don't know if she's a celebrity chef. She's
I think I
smoking
know who you're
hot.
talking about. Yeah.
So and she came out and said what she does is toast pops out, she butters it,
Mm-hmm.
but then when she gets to the table or whatever, she butters it again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, double butter.
Which I don't know if I'm brave enough to try. I mean, seems like it'd be delightful, but I don't know. I feel like it is possible. As
Mhm.
someone who loves butter, obviously, body by butter. I feel like you can't have too much. You can have too,
No, I don't. I'm right there with you. Yeah.
have too much. But
Yeah.
that's what's great about an English muffin. Let it run into the nooks and crannies, bro. Yeah, you might lose a little on the plate.
Uh-huh.
Who cares?
Yeah. Uh,
I loved. Oh God, I love the toast talk. If we finally run out of Chinese food, let's do toast.
well, like I said, I figured we'd get an easy hour out of this topic. So yeah, the barely there butterers, they're the go-getters, the outdoorsy types.
Fuck them. Just eat bread. Don't call it toast. Do not call it toast.
I think they're reading too much into the toast. Yeah, I think something's going. But this is a new thing. I've noticed all these food articles lately where what you eat says something about your personality. It's all skeptical nonsense. But anyway, we are also approaching Halloween,
Ooh.
and I saw an article for America's favorite Halloween candy. Top 10. Reel them off. Who do you think's in the top 10?
Well, is it candy bars or do we list? Is it like six
It's
candy
a
bars?
mixture of both.
Like
Just
specific candy bars?
Halloween candy in general.
I'm the only. I feel like I'm the only person in the world who seems to actually like candy corn.
Well, guess what? And this was a shocker to me. Candy corn made the top 10. Candy corn.
I like candy corn.
I guess they come in sealed packages now.
What do they come before?
When I was a kid trick or treating, people would just throw the loose candy corn in my bag. So I always had a bad reaction to candy corn when I got it trick or treating. I guess they come packaged now, right?
I mean, I don't want to be a smart ass. I don't remember loose candies.
You don't remember loose candy?
Well, I don't remember.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I'm talking about the carefree days when we didn't have to worry about people poisoning kids.
Yeah.
Believe it or
the-
not, maybe my generation is the last generation
Yeah.
that got loose candy corn.
I think when my generation came along, it was the whole, oh, somebody put a razor blade in an apple.
Right. Yeah. Well,
Somebody bit it. Because that's what happened.
that was the
Usually kids
myth.
race home with a bag of candy and dig right into the apple. That always had, yeah. Oh shit, I bit in the apple.
The razor blade in the apple is I guess a national myth. I mean, I think everybody thinks about that. I mean, if other people have other myths about people poisoning kids, put it in the comments.
The idea that we let ourselves believe that happened, like the amount of candy that sits around for weeks, kids trying to get through it. By the time it gets to the apple, it will have been rotted down to the core. You see the razor blade just sitting there. No kid accidentally bites into an apple on Halloween night.
If somebody threw an apple in my bag, yeah, that's just a disappointed look. You know, it's like, but you always had one.
You wouldn't even eat it. There could be anything in there. You wouldn't know.
Yeah, there was always somebody giving out the apples, you know. So I remember getting apples, and then there was always the Jehovah's Witnesses. You had to skip that house because they don't participate in the devil's holiday.
Let's do a quick one-act play. All you ask me is, how was it? Oh man, Mike, I crushed it. You should see my haul last night, Halloween, and somebody gave me an apple.
How was it?
I have no fucking idea. Who cares? It could have plutonium in it. It could have had money stuffed in it. Who cares? Every kid's throwing it, not even looking at it.
And now that I'm on the other side of this equation in the suburbs, where I have to plan out my candy and distribution and stuff, I can't even imagine having like a sack of apples sitting there. It's just bulky to handle, you know?
Just hand out eggs as well. Please throw these against my house. Here's some toilet paper.
Some shaving cream.
You kids go on. I'll toilet paper my own fucking house.
The shaving cream.
Yeah, the shaving cream. Now I am disappointed. What's a trick or treating like you do? You sit there and a bunch of kids go through a couple of hours or one by one?
Last year, I believe it was on a Sunday. So it was like all day, you know, it was pretty busy. Lots of kids in my neighborhood, and you know, it's fine. I like getting into the spirit of it. I mean, I had a little kid crack me up. She was so they come up in a gang, right? There's 5 or 6 kids, you know, standing there with their bags out, and there was a little like 3-year-old, and she was being crowded out, you know. And I
on my list porch.
No, I dropped it. I was, you know, very conscious of getting her candy. But then she sort of faded into the pack, and then her hand, she stuck her hand out again. She's going for the double grip.
I like it.
And I just got to laugh, you know. It's like, yeah.
You give her the extra and say, "Get out of here, kids. Take your extra."
You that little extra effort where she used her size to manipulate it, get another piece of candy. Beautiful. Just stick the hand out, you know.
Hey, you give that kid a second fun size candy bar. Get out of here, kid. You're great.
Yeah, no, I gave her another piece for her ambition. But anyways, so any more for the top 10?
Oh.
Thought we were moving on.
No, I was talking about I'm bummed because a couple years ago, our buddy Waddy, the most handsome man in the world, according to Will, father of superfan Jackie Watts, was like, "Hey, we're gonna take the kids to some holiday party, a Halloween party. Can you come sit on the porch and pass out candy?" And I was like, "Hey, a couple hours a week, you know, busting kids' chops, having fun, you know, making fun of them, I was excited. I sat there 4 hours. Nobody came.
Oh wow!
All of a sudden, this is how they do it, I guess, in some neighborhoods. All of a sudden, like 50 kids showed up.
Okay.
Boom. Like locusts, candy gone, and then they're gone. And that was it. Like 90 seconds of Halloween joy. Can't pick on the kids. I'm trying to make fun of this kid. I'm trying to make fun of that kid. Gone. And that's, I guess, how they do it in some
well, in Bayonne, you know,
the big safe block party kind of things.
Yeah.
As opposed to go out and
that's a thing. In Bayonne, you know, I sort of got out of it because I was in an apartment building and I was on the 3rd floor, and kids wouldn't come in and just ring the bells or anything. Right. They just skipped. They skipped the building. You know.
You can imagine how many kids came up to trick or treat at 100 Metro.
So yeah, if you're in an apartment building, you sort of got it easy. But another thing, though, I've noticed down here, a friend of mine was telling me, and she lives in a sort of, the houses are close together, where that's a factor. And so parents would literally drive their kids into her neighborhood so they can really bang it out in this neighborhood, because it's like a lot of bang for your buck. The houses are like right next to each other, and you're just like hitting house after house. I mean, there's a little walking distance in my neighborhood, not a lot, but you know, you got to pound the pavement a little to get your candy, you know.
Yeah.
But these kids, they're smarter today. They know the neighborhoods that they can hit up, get their trick or treating in a minimal
I
time.
knew the neighborhoods to go to when I was a kid, because where I was,
yeah,
there's like 5 houses within 2 miles. You'd get like a half a Reese's cup, and like that's it for the night. And you'd be like trying to get my parents, oh, take us to, you know,
oh yeah.
It's called Gwynfield. It's like a development where houses and you know, and of course back then you'd say to your parents, drive me 20 minutes to go collect candy. There's look, she's like, what are you out of your fucking mind? I'm not driving.
Oh, my parents wouldn't have gone for that. But
They
hey,
were like,
you at least
a couple
you were
of miles in the woods, and maybe an old man will give you some Snickers bars. That was it. That was trick or treating for me.
Really? Wow, you missed out. But you had the idea. You knew where you should have been going. Yeah.
Yes, and now you're right. That's what they do. They go to. I've been to, like, they'll have block parties. And they all stay on the one block.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
nice. I get it, especially in the city.
Yeah.
But I was so bummed. I was so excited about just, you know, going back and forth with kids and having fun. But well, regrets, Mike. They pile up.
we all have them. So anyway, back to the top 10.
Twizzlers. People love Twizzlers. I think I don't know how they got made.
Twizzlers didn't make the top 10.
M&M's.
M&M's made the top 10.
Snickers.
Snickers made the top 10.
Let me throw one out here that I used to love. Little curveball here. Butterfinger.
Butterfingers. It's interesting you say that.
Thank you, Mike. I thought it might be.
It didn't make the top 10.
God damn it.
But get this. It's the number 1 in Massachusetts.
And I'm from Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Do I have Butterfingers running through my veins?
You got that itch? Yeah. Born with that itch for Butterfingers.
Now I
kind of like Butterfingers, but you know,
too much on the teeth.
It's too much.
I'm like, do I want to work for the next 10 minutes trying to get something?
And then you had the Clark bar, which was a sort of an alternative, less sticky in the teeth.
Yeah.
Remember the Clark bar?
I've never really had a sweet tooth. Even as a kid, I never really.
Oh, really? Yeah.
But I liked Butterfinger. I still love peanut M&Ms. But like a lot of candy bars, I kind of never really. So let's walk through the top 10, because I'm not going to.
Okay, Reese's peanut butter cups, of course.
Dude, I love those. They'd be in my top 5.
This one, that number 3, was a shocker to me. The hot tamales. You know, those little red candies. I guess that's the hot tamales. Okay. Sucking candies.
That's not something I would.
Yeah, that was a surprise to me. Not a fan. Skittles also.
I don't understand.
Yeah, I'm not a Skittles person.
Skittles.
Sour Patch Kids, I get that, but not a lot. You know, like, you know,
anything like that, like gummy bears, Sour Patch, any of that stuff. I've never.
You never liked Starburst. Starburst made the list.
No,
I liked Starburst, but then you like.
We had those around a lot when I was a kid. I don't know if my mother liked them or something.
Probably.
They seem to always be around. I don't know why.
Yeah. Hershey's Kisses.
Let me tell you something. I assume they're maybe they're not the same price. Skip the Hershey's Kisses. Make sure you get the ones with the almonds. A little something extra for that bite. That's all.
You can get you can get the Hershey Kisses with almonds. Okay.
Very nice. Just gives you a little something extra in the middle.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
Then the candy corn. Hershey's mini bars.
I like to eat the candy corn. I like to bite each 3 part. I'd take a bite.
Yeah, I think you're savoring each flavor, right?
I think I'm thinking, the yellow this year is, and obviously it's all the same.
same shit.
I would have say ball of wax, but when I say that, it probably is literally a ball of wax. But
Unless food dye has a distinct flavor. I don't know about
a
that.
friend of mine,
Maybe Jerry can help us out with that.
friend
Jerry,
of mine,
Jerry, help
her.
us out with food
Jerry,
dye.
help us out. We do have a mutual friend who every time this part of the year she hates candy corn. Like, I don't know what candy corn ever did to her. She has a like thing. So, but I love candy corn.
Yeah. The Hershey's mini bars, which, you know, they come packaged. You get the different ones in there, you know. You get the just the regular Hershey, you get what's the Crackle? Is that the yellow one? I'm thinking of the colors.
Mr. Goodbar. I like Mr. Goodbar.
Mr. Goodbar, that's what I'm thinking
Classic
of.
chocolate and peanut.
Yeah, Mr. Goodbar, that's what I was thinking of. That's in the bag, and you know, you get a little variety. I usually have a couple bags of those.
Yeah, those are good. I like those. Yeah.
And then the Snickers, you know.
Mr. Goodbar would be in my top 3 candy bars, I think.
Yeah.
Did you see my tweet about if I could start a band right now, what would it be called?
Oh, I didn't see that.
I said if I could start a band, I something about when I was young, I wanted to start a band so I could change the world. You know, now if I just want to start a band so I could call us the Candy Bars.
Candy Bars.
Great
okay.
name.
All right.
Did you hear me, Mike? I said the candy. I don't think you heard me.
I don't know. It sounds like
it
sounds like such a common name that I'm thinking
so?
somebody probably beat you to it.
Do you know a band called the Candy Bars?
Well, no, but you know,
I think everybody's thinking that.
But if I came across them playing at a local bar, I wouldn't be surprised. You know.
I think that's such a great name. It's worth starting a band just for the name.
Okay. Missing from the list was surprisingly, and I've gotten these for the kids, Kit Kats.
Oh, yeah.
You would think they'd be up there, but not as popular as you might think. Then they break it down to the states. You know, number 1 in New York is Sour Patch Kids.
I
guess that's because getting them ready for a life of complaining, maybe, you know. So
me,
Sour Patch Kid. New Jersey, this would I call bullshit.
Here we go. Here we go.
I call bullshit on this one. Tootsie Pops.
Oh, get the fuck.
80-year-olds? I don't know. I never, you know, Tootsie Pops, when you got them, were almost as bad as apples, right? I mean, it's like
bottom of the bag.
A Tootsie Pop.
If everybody dies and I'm trapped alone in a room with the Tootsie Rolls, eventually I will eat them. Otherwise,
you try and trade them off to your siblings. Hey, you know, can I trade you? You want this Tootsie Pop?
Is this poll from the 1951?
I don't know. But M&M's and Skittles were also in the top 3 in Jersey. Connecticut, the Almond Joy, which I like those.
What about Virginia?
I didn't see Virginia. Virginia wasn't covered in the article.
Oh, they don't have a list? Okay.
They just, no, it wasn't all 50. They just sort of picked out certain states. Florida was Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. Texas, Sour Patch Kids again. California, M&M's. But
incredibly, right now, I think Florida is in the lead with the Reese's Cups.
Yeah. I mean, that's a solid one. Yeah, you're right.
Are you dressing up Halloween? I have my costume.
No, my costume days are over. Although I may be doing a remote for the best show. We're doing our Halloween episode next Tuesday, and I'm going to do a report for the show.
Oh,
I'll just leave it there, a little teaser.
Why are you doing it next week and not the week closer to Halloween?
I think we're going to slot in something different for Halloween.
Ooh, yeah. Foreshadowing.
Some foreshadowing. So anyway, so that's it. Yeah, that's the rundown on America's favorite Halloween candy.
You didn't ask me what I'm going to be.
What are you going to be?
Disgruntled ex-employee.
Ooh, yeah.
I came in the other day. All of a sudden, my work laptop locked me out. Can't get on. Says up. Password done. So I come into IT the next morning. They can't figure it out. Finally, someone, you know, hours later, somebody finds out I had been accidentally terminated. Some glitch in the system because they switched over to some new software.
Some glitch in the system.
And according to the company, I was gone, terminated.
That's
So,
something. Wow.
but what's the funniest part to me is my badge to get in and out of the building still
Uh-huh.
worked fine.
Yeah.
So I'm like, so I could just come in here exacting revenge at any minute. I'm like, why not have the badge the first thing you cut
Yeah.
off?
Exactly.
So,
Right.
but unfortunately, it got straightened out, so I had to work.
I wonder who the poor bastard who is finding out midday that he's gone. You know,
I don't know.
maybe another
No,
Greg.
I think it was they just switched systems for something. So,
Oh, okay.
you know, but I couldn't stop laughing. I'm like, why? I'm still able to walk around, get in and out of the building. Oh,
Yeah. No,
you didn't seem to be into that either. You didn't. You're not into Greg.
no, I'm thinking about, you know, I did get terminated from my last actually I got my last two jobs, office jobs anyway. And yeah, it's not pleasant.
Well, it's not as funny when it actually happens.
Yeah, when the one in particular, I mean, I wish my manager, I mean, this is going back a long time. I don't hold any grudges or anything, but it's I wish they would have just been honest with me. They sort of had to pretend that they were going to terminate people in our department one by one, you know, because the work was getting outsourced to India. You know, I wish they would have just said, "Hey, Mike." I mean, I sort of knew we were going in that direction. I mean, we had a lot of.
They were lying to you, like.
Well, they sort of did it one by one rather than panic the whole department. You know, if they were honest with me, then everybody would have known, hey, this department's going to get will be gone in a couple of years, which is what happened, you know. But since I was the first one to get laid off, it felt more personal. And, you know, like I said, if they just told me, hey, you know, this department is going to India, you know, we're all going to be gone in a couple of years, but you got to go first. I would have, that would have been a little more honest, but there was like picky stuff that, you know, they had to like try and make a case against me, you know, and it was 3 managers against me. So it was, they got that going, you know, so you try to defend yourself and it's like you're talking to a wall.
Well, you idiots blew it at West Group. You could still be. I could still be.
This
there.
isn't West Group.
We all could still be there at West Group.
Oh, I'm not talking about West Group. I left.
I know,
yeah.
We could still be there. Y'all idiots hadn't blown it.
Yeah, too many complainers. That was the complainers.
Too many complainers of the greatest gig in the world.
It was a great gig. I mean, it was.
I didn't even work there, and I loved it.
It was a
Christmas card.
It was such an easy gig. Yeah, there was some weird personalities there to break up the day. Yeah,
I lived in New York for another 15 years. Still never met like a certain couple of characters that you and I are both thinking.
It was a bunch of weirdos.
Still the best.
Yeah.
And you idiots were like, we're gonna let the company know what we think. There's no structure. There's no management. And then all of a sudden, there's no job.
Yeah, we're tired of listening.
We're
tired of listening to you complain. The office space is expensive. Why do we need you down there?
Greatest gig in the world.
Yeah, that was a good gig. Yeah. But when I got laid off, you know, in retrospect, you wish you had done certain things. So, you know, I wish I had, you know, deleted a bunch of files, you know, just to make it harder for people to slip in, you know, just take my revenge, you know, in some petty act of vandalism, I guess.
Everybody has those fantasies. I don't know anybody that actually does them.
No, you know, the other thing was, you know, after, you know, I went down, it was like a couple floors below my cubicle floor. So I had to go up a couple stairs to grab a few things from my cubicle before I left. And you come up through this sort of interior glass enclosed staircase.
I remember.
And no, this is at Wiley. This wasn't West Group. But I wish I had done, you know, because then my managers were behind me. You know, I sort of outpaced them. I wish that I had done, you know that thing you can do with your foot to a door. where no matter how hard somebody pushes it, they can't open the door. I wish I'd enclosed them in this staircase. Just watch their faces. I'm not letting you in. I'm not.
Well, that's why I never understood. And I'm not to talk about Trump again, but I'm talking about before he was president, back when he started the show, You're Fired or whatever. And he'd go on national TV, he'd fire somebody, and they'd be like, "Thank you for the opportunity," and they'd slink off. I'm like, well, how much of a hero would you be if Trump says you're fired, and you say "fuck it" and flip the table over and cause a scene and go crazy? I'm sorry, there's not enough people that hated him then that wouldn't be like, hire this guy.
Well, there was probably something in their contracts that they couldn't do that.
Who
They
cares?
couldn't embarrass the host.
Doesn't matter. You're already gone. You're telling me somebody wouldn't love that so much they wouldn't have said hire that guy?
Well, they would love it, but it wouldn't make it wouldn't make the airways. It would get edited. Because Trump probably had a fair amount of say in that. What made it on the air and what didn't.
Enough people would be tickled pink. They go, you know what, Mike, senior VP. I never understood why they would just thank you. And I'm not picking on Trump. I'm just saying,
right? Yeah, no.
Anybody who does that, why wouldn't you take that opportunity? Great, you finished 11th out of 15. Make your mark, man. Flip the table.
Yeah. Knowing Trump, though, it was probably all about him, and there was probably something like I said, I think he had some control of that show.
Sure. But if you jump up and flip a table over, and the word gets out.
Yeah, but then they're talking about that person, and they're not talking about Trump. With Trump, it's all self-absorption. So anything that detracts from Trump is,
And somebody would love that enough to hire you.
Oh, well, no, I agree.
That's what I'm saying.
But Trump wouldn't have it probably.
Doesn't matter. Anyway. He's already fired you. I'm saying some other guy.
I understand, but I'm talking about it's not a real job. It's a show. It's a TV show. Okay. So you're thinking of it as a real job, and
well, I'm thinking of it as a show. Like you'll get something if you.
I hear what you're saying.
Have we heard from these losers who just slunked off? Thank you for the opportunity.
Oh yeah, they were all kissing his ass to begin with. So I mean,
he didn't give a shit about you.
Yeah,
do something. Take a stand.
I mean, let's face it, the people that were on that show, I mean, they were pulled out of the weeds to make the show. So they were so grateful. So they were kissing his ass the whole time, Yeah.
Oh, if I just keep kissing his ass, they'll hire me. No,
they got a big paycheck, most of these people were C-listers, they haven't been seen in years.
Yeah.
Gary Busey. I mean, come on.
I think if you were the first guy who did a flip out scene today, you'd still be famous and you'd be sitting on a pile of cash.
Well, that's something
some other rich asshole would pay you to just go around telling the story about how you stuck it to another billionaire.
It would have been a legend. Yeah.
Well, I mean, just saying.
We can ponder that for the rest of our lives.
I mean, I'm not gonna, but
anyway. So there's no fortune cookies, right? I mean, feels weird. I was reaching for a fortune cookie, and I'm like, wait a second.
Yeah,
I didn't get a fortune cookie. You didn't get a fortune cookie.
Now, what's it? Are we going to keep doing the mystery dishes? We're going to go back to Chinese food. How you feel?
Let's. The other thing about the mystery dishes, it keeps people on their toes. They got to listen. They don't know what's coming. If it's like, hey, there's a little surprise in this show. I don't know what I'm gonna hear. Little suspense. Suspense. Trying to I'm pulling out all the stops, Greg. I'm pulling out the analytics are good, but let's try. I like the hairdo you got going up. Leave it like that for Halloween. Give us a noise. Give us your monster noise. Oh wow, that's good.
Is this the screen grab I should get tomorrow?
That's the one, man. That's the one. Anyway, speaking of scary movies, do you watch any scary movies or anything?
I have a report to tell you.
Oh, do you?
2, but I'm not a big horror guy. I don't, but Wicker Man popped up. I'd never seen Wicker Man,
Oh, that's a goofy movie.
and I have to say I liked it.
Oh, was it the remake or the original?
No, the original. I'm not watching
Okay.
it. Get out of it.
Well, the remake has Nicolas Cage in it.
Yeah, I'm not watching
There's some funny moments in that.
Is that what I'm looking for in a horror movie? Funny moments?
Yeah, yeah. That's what I'm looking for.
And I gotta say, it has been added to my list of. I mean, it was pretty scary. It wasn't crazy scary, but
No.
have you seen it? You've seen it.
I saw it ages ago. Is Britt Eklund in that?
Yes.
Yeah, beautiful.
I mean, it to be scary, it had to triumph over it being in broad daylight, which I have to add it to the canon of Night of the Living Dead and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And there's another one. It's like, if you can be scary in its daytime.
How about The Exorcist?
I like the book better. That was the third one I'm thinking of. But plus, it had to overcome people just bursting out in a song throughout. Like, that's not scary. Like, the minute people start singing, you're like, okay, this isn't scary. Plus, I know it's a family show. Let's keep it clean. There's a lot of titties. So it had to overcome.
Well, that's what I remember. Britt Eklund. I was a young man.
It had to overcome broad daylight, people singing, and titties. And it's in my it's in my list of horror movies. Like, it wasn't scary, but it's freaky enough that I will enjoy from time to time.
I might have to revisit that one after your glowing review.
My other one is I said I was going to watch one every night. So far, I've watched 2. I've never actually watched The Twilight Zone. So I've watched 2 episodes of that.
Where's that streaming? Max?
No. I'll send it to you. I'll look it up.
Okay. I'd like to rewatch them. I mean, I didn't watch every one. I mean, I've seen some. It was always on in the background, but I'd like to sit and just sort of watch them. I mean, they've got a bunch of seasons too, right?
Yeah, I mean, the first 2 episodes are a little like, meh, like.
Okay.
All right. So what I'm doing is I'm posting what I like about it, and then of course I post what happens to be the first 45 I ever bought as a young buck. I think I mentioned it on the show a year ago. Michael, can you tell me what that song is?
I can't remember last week or yesterday.
Twilight Zone by Golden Earring. So
really? Okay.
So
not Radar Love. I think I had Radar Love.
Yeah. Well, I'm not watching a show called Radar Love. I don't want
Golden Earring had a hit with the Twilight Zone theme.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
No, not with the theme. It's a different song.
Oh.
You know it. Help! I'm stepping into the Twilight Zone. All
right. Yeah, I know. It's not ringing a bell. I just know Radar Love. I consider them a one-hit wonders.
No, I love Twilight Zone. So I'll watch an episode, post what I think of it, and then put in the video for Twilight Zone. So I'm enjoying it. First 2 episodes haven't been like, ooh, so.
You haven't gotten to the episode where the guy just wants he's well, I'm not gonna.
Oh, the books?
With the books.
I know that one. I've seen that one.
Okay.
I've seen a smattering.
That's one of the classics.
That's
one of the classics. Yeah.
And the William Shatner one always pops up, but I've never seen like the just
No, I might join you on that journey.
Yeah, it's not. If you want me to pause till you catch up, I like the black and white. I like the look of it.
Well, Rod Serling,
great.
he was having his run when I was young. So you had the Night Gallery. You had that came after Twilight Zone.
You lost.
You don't know Night Gallery?
I barely know the Twilight Zone.
Okay.
Just trying to learn that.
Well, Night Gallery is in color. It doesn't have the black and white against it. People see black and white, and it's like, oh, I'm not going to watch a black and white thing. It's like
most interesting thing about the second episode. There's a character that is Death, and he's played by the guy who would go on to play the mayor in Jaws.
Don't know the actor's name. You know the guy. I know the guy. I don't know his name either.
So I've been I always try to get into the October spirit with some horror movies or whatever. Like 2 years ago, I read all those Edgar Allan Poe short stories. What are your flicks?
Well, it's funny.
Oh, I'm sorry. Halloween. That's the other movie that a lot of it's in the daylight and it's scary. Okay.
Yeah,
So.
that's true. Um, yeah, Turner Classic Movies is showing a lot of the horror stuff, and I saw one thing pop up. Well, I saw a couple things. I saw a short movie, The Telltale Heart. I never,
Okay.
and it turns out there's like 3 different versions people have done, but this one's from 1941. Jules Dassin, one of his, I think it may have been his first little movie. He went on to do some other famous movies. Um, but yeah, it's like a 30-minute thing.
Mhm.
And it's okay. It was okay. They kept the whole scene inside this cabin. So you
Mhm.
get this sort of claustrophobic feel. And
Oh, that's
then,
cool. Huh.
they've got a guy who's got a weird eye. They
Staring
always,
through
they
the
always
door.
get, they always got to throw in some sort of
Think
physical
of my
defect to scare people. No, it was a cloudy eye. He had like just a
cloudy eye.
a scary cloudy eye. No,
The guy's
no,
looking through the doorway.
no iris, no
Yeah.
iris or pupil. So that was kind of scary. But then I saw this other movie pop up, The Terror, and it
Ooh.
was one of these early Jack Nicholson movies. When
He
he
was
was
in The Raven.
yeah, well,
One of Roger Corman's.
that was during the Roger Corman period. Yeah, so this was another Roger Corman movie, The Terror, and it also had the aging Boris Karloff. So I'm like, well, I can't pass this up. Jack Nicholson and Boris Karloff, the same movie. I got to see what the hell this is all about. And so yeah, it hooked me. I suspected it would be bad. It was bad. But there was a very pretty young lady in the movie, kept my interest. So,
What is
a
it with you
lot.
and ladies in horror movies, man?
Well, sometimes that's all it takes to keep me watching a movie, and I think it's a tried and true formula, right? All these.
Do you love teen slasher flicks? Because I got good news
No,
for
no,
you.
no. I'm not into the gore. I'm not really into horror in general,
He's with the
But
naked ladies. I get it.
but so this, yeah, it's just a
Before
lot
you
of.
find out about the internet.
It's just this, this castle, and there's creepiness going on, and there's a witch, and there's a weird assistant. Yeah, it's not really worth. It wasn't worth. I can't recommend it.
I got excited when I saw that there's a new Fall of the House of Usher series.
Mm-hmm.
But I looked at it. Excuse me. It's like a modern adaptation. It's like a pharmaceutical. It's like looks like Succession set in a castle or something.
I think there's been a bunch of. You know what? I remember all those Edgar Allan Poe movies were always on. We had the 4:30 movie, but Vincent Price is in a bunch of them, right? I mean, yeah, I don't know if I want to revisit those things. I don't have fond memories of them.
The scariest one was Fall House of Usher. Came home from church one day, one Sunday, because I'm a good kid. And yeah, it was like it was in the afternoon, broad daylight. Turn around. It was like 1982 or something. It was Martin Landau.
Really?
And Robert Hayes from Airplane.
Okay.
And I was like a little kid. I was begging my dad and brother to change the channel. I was offering money.
Wow, okay.
It was terrifying.
Really?
And
it's a great story. I mean, the story is great. That's
great story. Yeah,
that's maybe my favorite of his.
Yeah, it's one of them. And so a couple of years ago, I was like, all right, it couldn't have been that. And I dug it up on YouTube, and it is terrifying.
All right.
It's that perfect. It's at that perfect point. Now I'm thinking about it. Of it would have been made in like 1980. So it's not as primitive as like a lot of that Roger Corman stuff is a little.
Was it a TV movie? It almost sounds like
it made for TV movie.
It was a TV movie. Yeah, some of those things were pretty good.
Yeah, like so it's not as cheesy looking as some of that older stuff.
Yeah,
but it's not so modern that like it's too glitzy to be really scary.
Yeah,
so I think it was in that perfect window. Look it up. Martin Landau.
I can recommend because I watched it at the time. I think again it was like the early 80s. Harvest Home with a very young Rosanna Arquette. And
Harvest.
yeah, it's one of these creepy human sacrifice movies. It's it's a weird one.
Well, that's the
Uh,
way the Wicker Man.
yeah, yeah. No, it probably was inspired by that a bit. But yeah, if you want to check out Harvest Home, yeah, I think it's on YouTube. A lot of this stuff ends up on YouTube.
Do you have a
Anyway,
number one horror movie?
you know what? I mean, I remember seeing The Exorcist in the theater. So I remember that, and it was the re-release. I don't think I saw it. That movie had like a sort of double release. Like it came out,
Oh,
and I
really?
guess it did all right, but then they re-released it like a year later or something. And so then I caught it then, and I was young at the time, and
Mhm.
yeah, I remember particularly the sounds. A lot of these horror movies, the soundtrack carries a big
That's The
does
Omen. Like The
does
Omen
a
is
lot of the
scary
heavy
enough.
lifting, the music.
If you just listen to the score of The Omen,
Yeah,
running out, turning on
yeah,
all the lights, scared.
yeah. I saw The Omen when it came out. Yeah, that I remember that being pretty intense.
That's my number one. That is the most
Yeah, but
terrifying
Night
thing.
of the Living Dead, I
That's a
never,
great one.
I only saw that on television, but that still had a pretty creepy effect. It's like, and
It gets a little goofy because I can only take zombies so seriously.
yeah.
You know,
Well, that
but
was the
that's why I
first
like
one.
The Omen. Now, The Exorcist must have been terrifying. Like, I feel like by the time I saw it, I didn't watch it till like 2 years after I read the book a couple years
Uh,
ago. You know, it was hard to. I don't know. I feel like I knew too much. It just wasn't scary.
yeah, no, you probably heard about the head spinning
Yeah,
around and all that stuff. So yeah, not
it's
that
like
that. I
I was
mean,
excited to go see the Blair Witch Project. And like literally 10 minutes before I went in, I found out it wasn't real. So yeah,
Blair Witch Project was really one of the most disappointing movie experiences I ever had because
if
the
I had
hype.
seen that before learning it wasn't real, I'd have shit my pants. To its credit,
No,
but
I didn't find it scary at all. I mean,
did you know it was fake?
no, I didn't know anything about it. Yeah, I
Okay,
mean, they hyped it. I'm skeptical. Yeah, I'm naturally skeptical about all that
I'm a
stuff.
babe in the woods.
But I saw it in the theater when it came out, and the hype was big on it. So I fell for it, and I'm like, this thing is all about sticks in the woods. I'm like, this is it. I'm like, you're kidding me? This is all I'm. There was no monsters. It felt like a big letdown
Yeah.
when I saw it. I'm like, really?
I
And
was
how
just
come the
so
word
confident it
didn't get
wasn't
out
real.
that it was a big letdown? Or but you're saying it's genuinely scary to you.
If I had seen it before finding out it wasn't real,
Uh huh.
by the time I got to see it, I don't even know if I've seen all of it. I'd found out, so I was like, what's the point?
Yeah.
But
Wow.
I think I would have been. It would have been terrifying if I hadn't seen it.
Well, we still have it a couple more weeks. Maybe we'll check out some more horror movies in the
Anybody
meantime.
has any recommendations?
Recommendations. Okay, yeah, you know what
As,
to
as
do.
as Mike calls
The
them,
comments.
Rex. Any Rex?
Yeah. Also, hey, why not just put it out there? If somebody wants us to try, well, I already said the different Chinese dishes, but also maybe, I don't want to do chain restaurants because it seems like everybody's got a podcast where they do that, right? I mean, they're hitting up the chains.
You talking about your enemies, the Doughboys? Going after the Doughboys? Is that what you're saying, Mike?
Well, they've been our competition from day one.
I don't want to let people think that we're going away from Chinese food. We'll take a break.
Now, my idea is to just try some of the stuff, local restaurants in my area, because I'm kind of new to this area now. And I want to try some different places. So that's kind of my goal for the next few weeks. We'll take it from there
That's an honorable goal.
afterwards.
Can I say something before we leave?
Sure.
I'd like if you could give a shout out to my nephew.
Mm-hmm.
This kid loves him some Mike.
Does he?
Mike's so funny. Mike's great.
Oh, I love, yeah. And he's telling you. He's telling you.
Well, he straddles the line between not admitting he's ever listened to it because you got to be cool and let me know. Big Mike fan. Big Mike fan.
What's his name? What's his name?
Patrick. Give him a little shout out.
Hey, Patrick. Thanks for listening. I could use all the fans I can get.
Maybe a little. Hey, Patrick, this
Because
is Mike.
let's face it, I mean, you generate more commentary than I do. You've got your fans,
I don't have as many as Mike.
so it's nice to have
Yeah.
a Mike fan
Well,
come forward.
one fan I would like,
Uh-huh.
my nephew. I'm not saying
Uh-huh.
he's suggesting you go solo, but I am saying I'm not going to be surprised when he does. Mike, Mike
Uh-huh. Oh, really? Okay. Well,
loves Mike.
that's good to hear.
Yeah, for you.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I'm
oh,
saying, well, listen, I read the commentaries and it's all about Greg. You know, it's nice that I got a word in, you know, I got a fan out there.
I mean, it is what it is, Mike.
It's all about Greg. Where'd this guy come from? This guy is hysterical.
I never see those comments.
Yeah,
Where are these comments?
They're out there. They're out there.
Are you out? Oh, out there, like it's amorphous.
No, on the egg foo what section on the Discord, the best show Discord.
Oh, okay. I'll have to look
Yeah.
it up.
Yeah, no,
just like all the financial statements, all these Greg is great